Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all so much. It's very exciting to be here. As an actor, I came in, I just said to Sarah Keck, Melinda's daughter, it's like dinner theater, except I guess this is breakfast theater. Bob Chase and Davida Crabtree asked me some time ago if I would come and talk to you about what I call my journey through cancer land. As Melinda said, it was at the end, it was on Friday the 13th of December 2002 that I woke up early in the morning in New York City and turned over in bed and thought, this mattress, I've got to do something about it, it's so lumpy. And then discovered that the lump was me. A terrifying moment, which I immediately went into denial about and decided that it couldn't possibly be that right now, at the absolute fittest that I had ever felt, I'd just had 3 months in Australia in a movie of Peter Pan, having the most wonderful time, swimming with the fishes in the barrier reef, climbing and going all around Uluru. I was so fit and so healthy, and there was no breast cancer in my family. I had never smoked, and obviously this couldn't happen to me, right? But indeed, on the afternoon of December 13th, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. My tumor was large. It looked as if there were many lymph nodes involved. And I was absolutely terrified. I then was so worried about how I would tell my family. First of all, my family was who I was worried about. And there were reasons why I didn't want to tell my children right away. My son, Ben, who, any of you fly Delta, he's a Delta pilot. If you ever hear, hello, this is your first officer, Ben Clark, stand up and scream, I know your mother. My son, Ben, and his wife, Neva, were expecting their second child, my little grandson, Kyle. And my daughter-in-law, Neva, is Armenian-American, and there's a belief in the Armenian community that when somebody dies, it's always a life for a life, and it's somebody close to you. And I didn't want to tell them till after Kyle was born, because I was afraid that they would think the life that was going in place of Kyle's birth would be mine, and I didn't want to mar their joy. I didn't want to tell my wonderful daughter, Pema, in England, because Pema is very much into alternative medicine, and I'm not against that, believe me, but I knew she would get very emotional, and I wanted to make sure I knew what my treatment was going to be before I told her, because I knew what she would say is, Mum, buy a plane ticket to Mexico but eat a peach pit and have a coffee enema, and I didn't want a coffee enema. I just didn't want it. You know, I'm English, tea maybe, but not coffee. And I didn't want to tell my daughter Annabelle, my youngest, because she was then a senior at Parsons School of Design. She's a fantastic photographer. In fact, some of the images that you're going to be seeing, and perhaps you're seeing now, were her photographs of me. I didn't want to tell her because she was going through finals. I also thought that she was the youngest by many years, and I didn't think she was ready to yet take on the possibility that I might not have too long, and I thought at that point maybe I didn't. So it was all set up. I went to Memorial Sloan Kettering, about whom I can't heap enough praise on them for the caring, for the brilliance of their treatment. I had a mastectomy on January the 16th, 2003, and that was to be followed with chemo and radiation. My wonderful Annabelle came with me, my best friend from England. We all went to the hospital at crack of dawn. And you know, they put you in that little terrible hat and those terrible little socks and the gown that's really embarrassing. And I thought, well, never mind, you know, they kept me laughing and everything. They'll come and stick a needle in my arm any minute and it'll, you know, next thing I'll know it's over. But they actually had me walk into the surgery. I wasn't sedated at this point. I was like, walk in, see scalpels. I don't like that. I had decided not to have reconstruction for various reasons. It's a wonderful thing. It's a great gift to so many women, but I decided not to. And as I was walking in, there was my surgeon, brilliant Dr. Patrick Borgen. I believe in giving people credit here. And he said, oh, Ms. Redgrave, this is the surgeon, the plastic surgeon, who if you had done reconstruction, he would have been doing it, but he's going to help me out today. And this, ladies, this was the most gorgeous looking man you've ever seen. Even in scrubs, particularly in scrubs, perhaps. And there I am in my little hat and my little socks and my terrible robe, and I said, oh, doctor, if I had known you were this cute, I'd have gone for reconstruction. And they both turned pink and stuck a needle in my arm, so that was it. When I came to, this is what I looked like. I had earlier, when I did finally tell my youngest daughter, I told them all sort of around the same time, my children, after Kyle's birth, when Kelly Pema got over for Christmas, etc. I had thought to, how will Annabelle particularly be able to look at me? How will she be able to not be so terrified? Because she's a brilliant photographer, and because a camera can be almost like it's like a protection in a way, because you become, the person you're looking at down the lens becomes the subject, rather than, that's my mom, and this is really scary. And I said to her, and she was thinking it at the same moment, would you document every step of for my surgery, post-surgery, and my chemo and radiation? And she was thinking the same thing. In her mind, she thought, if it's a photographic project, then it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the end is when mum stops treatment and she's well again. For me, it became this, I thought I was doing it as a favor for my daughter to help her. In fact, it ended up being a wonderful lifesaver for me. On those scary days that I was so afraid, going to the hospital was, really, really frightening, but I was going to meet Annabelle, so that became the project. And I couldn't start chemo for about 4 weeks because I got an infection. And I remember feeling so tired and feeling so frightened and so scared. And I went to a concert at Carnegie Hall, and I wrote in my journal, which I used a lot as sort of my therapy, my way of like putting my feelings onto the page, and then perhaps I won't feel them quite so intensely. I wrote, concert at Carnegie Hall, falling asleep in the second act, mind racing, heart sad, lonely, nervous, a bit afraid.